What is an easy way to non-sexually pleasure a man? I still find great pleasure in remembering compliments I've been given years ago. You got a cute laugh. By the way, you should laugh more. You'd get tons of chicks. 5 years ago. Man. I got the opposite one time from a cute chick. We were riding together to a concert and I made a couple self-deprecating jokes. She grabbed my arm and just said, "Stop being mean to yourself. You're wonderful the way you are," and confidence means appreciating those good things. Completely threw me off and I quit making fun of myself then on. Think I'd just hug her and cry if that were me. I used to make lots of self-deprecative jokes as well to mask my insecurities and unhappiness with both myself and or the situation I'm in. If someone grabbed my arm and said that to me, I think I'd just break down. I write them down. It started when I got into working out and people began to notice, so I would jot them down in the Notes app on my phone, including the name of the person that said it. Then anytime I wasn't feeling motivated to go to the gym, I would look back at them. It's evolved to the point that now I read them anytime I'm feeling negative about myself for whatever reason and instantly improves my mood. Highly recommend it. Physical contact can be really nice even if it's not exactly sexual. Just a nice, long hug where you tell him how much you love him, and how incredible he is, and how thankful you are for him. That's a slice of heaven right there. I've been single a little over a year and was at a party yesterday. Apparently I had a scratch on the back of my neck because a cute friend of a friend noticed and touched, rubbed it like, oh no, what happened? I damn near started purring. For a few weeks, I made myself a dozen bacon, egg and cheese sandwiches, wrapped them individually, and put them in the freezer. Then, I'd microwave them and have them for breakfast on the way to work every day. After doing that for a few weeks, I stopped. My wife asked why, and I told her it's too much a pain in the ass. I like to cook special dinners for the family on weekends, and doing the breakfast sandwiches in addition began to feel like drudgery. I'll just pick up a bagel every day instead. She just frowned at me when I said that. A few hours later, I walk into the kitchen, and she's pouring a big mixing bowl of scrambled eggs into a casserole dish. I ask her what she's doing, and she says, "You should have a hot breakfast you enjoy every day." I tell her that she doesn't have to do this for me. She said she didn't mind. I said it's so much trouble, I can just pick up a bagel, I don't mind. She said it's really not that hard. She was doing the old, "I just have an answer for everything" thing, you know what I mean. She does it every week. I don't have to ask. I always tell her she doesn't have to, and she always kind of scoffs and says, "Oh, it's not that big a deal." Those are the best tasting sandwiches I've ever eaten. As a recently divorced man, deprived for many years of affection and compliments, I have to say that nothing is better than a hug, kiss on the cheek, hair, scalp scratches, compliments, especially when you get a haircut and or dress nice, and being interested in your hobbies. Was always the one giving them in marriage but hardly ever got them back. Dealt with this. Turned out she firmly believed that because I'm the man, that it was my responsibility to do all that stuff while her job was to just soak it up. She was baffled why I just eventually stopped bothering with it. I feel this. The way my partner looks at me and says, "Kisses please," in a non-sexual way, fucking melts me in my soul. The way she sometimes grabs my face to give me a smooch, I'm 6'7", she is decidedly, not melts me. The way I sometimes catch her staring at me with a little smile, then when I'm like, "What, weirdo?" and she says, "I dunno, you're just really handsome," fucking kills me. She makes me feel like I'm my sexiest thing on two legs. She makes me feel loved, supported, and seen in a way no one else has, and I've dated lots of people. She's the fucking best. In a quiet environment, you sit down on a couch. Have him lay down next to you with his head on your lap and you stroke his hair and tell him how much he means to you. Then let him close his eyes and sink into that beautiful bliss that takes away his cares and worries and transports him to a peaceful existence for just a while. Speaking for myself, just sitting in silence with me, especially when I first wake up and when I first get home from work. I'm either charging my brain for the day or recharging it after a long day. I want your company, but I'm not ready for conversation or a list of to-dos and plans. Just sit with me and, when I've perked up, it's game one for the information stream. For me, my weakness has always been surprise food. Like when my wife calls me in from yard work to eat a little lunch that she whipped up for me. Or when I'm doing work on the computer and she slides me a food tray. Even just having a sandwich placed in front of me when I'm gaming or reading a book makes me feel happy and loved. Another example is back when we were dating 10+ years ago. I'd sometimes hear a knock at my door and it would be her dropping off something that she cooked or baked for me. Just be a good listener and spend quality time together doing things he enjoys. Communication and showing genuine interest in his thoughts and feelings can go a long way in making a man feel loved and appreciated. To be satisfied, and to express it. You don't even have to say it. Just be okay with the man he is instead of imagining the man he could be. At least for a while we should help each other to be the best version of ourselves. That requires love and tolerance, so no one forgets that they are safe and respected. I had my legs draped across my girl's lap while laying on the couch watching reality TV. She was lightly massaging and stroking my calves. I fell asleep. I was so relaxed. That's never happened. I loved it and I was so satisfied. Wholesome. Can't say for everyone, but for me it's as simple as a home-cooked meal. Best way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Also, sharing an interest with him or at least trying to share an interest will show that you care and are actually trying to keep a good relationship. Yup, that's exactly what my husband said. I love cooking and baking for him. I liked to do it before I met him too, but I'd be cooking, baking for one, and I was too lazy to do all that work just for me. I also play video games with him and let him rant about Wheel of Time and League of Legends, haha. We have an inside joke where, right after we got married several years ago, I said I hope you never cheat on me in the future as I was feeling insecure at that time. He laughed and said, if you can't trust my fidelity to you, trust that I'm too lazy to cheat, and he absolutely means it. His life consists of going to work, coming straight home, eating my food, and gaming, watching TV and movies with me. There's zero time in his day for him to get away with all of that, and he's way too lazy to figure out how. We're each other's best friends and I know for a fact it would be extremely hard for him to find another child-free woman who is his age who has all the same hobbies we share as well as my particular hobbies while also never getting tired of each other. For example, during the lockdowns during COVID, a lot of our friends who were in relationships broke up because they couldn't handle life together at that time, but we loved spending 6 months at home together, all day every day, just doing hobbies and fucking them out. COVID made us way closer. And we honestly miss that time in our lives since we probably won't have endless amounts of time for each other again until we retire, haha. IDK why I randomly decided to say all of this. Cuddles. Head in lap, hair stroking while watching TV. Tell us we look good when you think it and mean it. Little. I was thinking of you and saw this presents or saying we're appreciated or did something well. Nothing grand. Just little everyday affections that I think men don't often receive. Let him sleep. If there's kids or animals in the home, keep them entertained and out of the room for a bit. I remember hearing, if you love them, let them sleep, at one point. As an adult and a mom now, sleep is heavenly. I can only imagine that my husband who wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every morning for work feels the same way. I feel like this is a trap, but I will risk it nonetheless. If you wish to non-sexually pleasure a man, do the following. Massage. Rub his shoulders and neck when he gets home from work. Food. Prepare him a meal. Peace. Bring him peace of mind. Praise. Acknowledge his efforts and thank him. These 4 things can make a man truly happy in a non-sexual sense. Pound the living shit out of that annoying ultra sore spot in between my shoulder blades. Take a pestle and put it in that area, then pound it with a hammer for like a solid 20 minutes. Gosh, I would love you long time. Take him out on a date you plan entirely. Ask him to make no decisions. Really, anything that isn't some manipulation for him to do something for you in return will most likely be a very surprising nicety. As a man, I can't tell you how often women just want to use you to do things or buy things for them. Just showing you care by actually just caring, without a catch, will be an almost unrecognizable but really pleasant gesture for a lot of men. This doesn't apply to every man, I'm sure, but general appreciation is always a bright fucking green flag for me. Tell me you love me. Thank me when I do things for you. Give me a big ol' hug when I get home from work. Make me feel like you actually love me and that I'm not just a glorified roommate you have sex with sometimes. Men want to feel needed and special too, but it's just never addressed. Yeah, I run my hands up and down his back, massage his calves when he gets home as he is working on his feet all day. He will rest his head on my shoulders or lap, and I'll scratch his head and rub his back at the same time. Most importantly, I tell him how much I appreciate how hard he works to support our future. I also acknowledge the little things he does. If he shows me extra affection, I tell him how much that means to me and that I really needed that. Things like that. Men want to hear that they make you happy. It makes all the BS they went through that day worth it. Best I've ever heard is, treat him like a dog. But a dog you love. Let him relax with his head in your lap, and run your fingers in his hair. Get excited when he's excited. You don't have to love his passions, but if you don't love his passion you shouldn't be together anyway. And also tell him he's a good boy and hype him up. Approval. Showing approval is huge for a man, and specifics help. I think you did a really good job on this thing because XYZ, or, I love it when you do this because. As an example, my parents have a shitty relationship due in large part to the fact that my mom hasn't told my dad, good job, or, I appreciate that you did this because, in 30 years. And they're both blind to why they're always pissed off at each other. Show appreciation of his hobbies, interests. I am by no means a handy or crafty man. I recently started building small furniture out of wood. I made my first coffee table in its barest definition. It's okay, but I worked hard on it. My wife acted so impressed. And she very well might have been, but she was just giddy and excited at what I did that it made my day. It looks so good. I can't believe that you made that. It's nicer than something we would buy on Wayfair. It might sound silly to some, but I replay her excited smile over and over again in my head. Makes me feel good. As someone whose relationship recently ended, on amicable grounds mind you, my ex would ask for my consent, for little things. Can I hold your hand? Can I hug you? Stuff mostly revolving around physical touch. It was eye-opening to me in that I don't think any woman I have ever dated prior asked for my consent ever, or at least, not in a more ordinary everyday way. It really amplified the idea that someone else was thinking about you, and how you were feeling. During my first pregnancy my whole body ached, and at the 5-month mark, we stopped being sexually intimate, but increased our intimacy in other areas. I just couldn't do it anymore and be in tears with the pain, and he was understanding and sympathetic. We made sure to shower together, washing each other's hair and bodies, massages, making sure we found a show to watch together where we spent time cuddling and enjoying each other's company. We picked up each other's hobbies and I took more time to learn about his job, and we'd talk more. We learned to cook together, but sometimes we ordered in and watched crappy movies on Netflix. Sometimes we talked forever, sometimes we just went for a drive and didn't talk for hours. He was a saint during that time period, and I'll never forget the way he loved me then, especially when times are hard. Our love has only gotten stronger, and we still keep those things up to this day, even though it's been years. Blue-collar guy here. For me, it's the small things. Getting up at 5 a.m. with me, help me make lunch, kisses before and after work, cooking meals and do dishes side by side, touches as we pass while doing something, making a manageable honey-do list for the days off where we still have time to ourselves, inviting me out for shopping, sitting together on the couch after a long day, and biggest, showing interest in things I do. Genuine interest for the sake of actually being interested in the subject, and this also regards strong boundaries. Loving the man and spend time with him because you genuinely enjoy the time spent, and not for the sake of people-pleasing. I don't know if other men can also easily pick up on people-pleasing. Yes, but I can, and it makes me sometimes bummed out, or it feels wrong to go along an invitation if the person didn't really feel like saying yes. A strong genuine no, if not interested in any kind of particular activity, keeps me happy and feels much better, knowing she knows her shit. Men rarely get heartfelt and honest compliments. Women get them so often they don't even recognize them. If you want to make a guy feel good, tell him he's looking good. Tell him he's a good guy. Tell him you like his shirt, hair, or really anything. Be clear you're not hitting 9N him because that also happens rarely to most men, so make sure you're clear or a single guy might take that as an opening. But, I have a boss who regularly compliments me. She's not being creepy. She always leads with mentioning my wife, kids, etc. so she won't be misunderstood, but man, it makes my day. I legitimately look forward to it. Any sincere compliment. I was once dating a woman and I actually brought to her attention that she didn't pay me many compliments. She told me it was because guys she dates are often egomaniacs and any compliment just increases their arrogance. I mean, I'm just a regular guy doing my best, not some sociopath who uses compliments as ammo in power struggles. Learn to discern the difference. I think a lot of men's love language are acts of service. Doing things for him and appreciating the things he does for you. Giving him alone time or time to enjoy his hobbies. Whether that be gaming, sports, etc. If you also like these things, he will probably be willing to do them with you, but if not, some judgment-free time is essential. This dances on your non-sexual line but putting effort into your appearance. It's a little depressing when women go out with the girls and get all dressed up, but a dinner date with your man you don't put any effort into. Feels like we're not worth the effort, or like our opinion doesn't matter at best. At worst, it feels like you're actively trying to get attention from someone else. Random texts about how much I mean to her. Same can be said for in-person conversation. If they know your vices, they actively but inconspicuously block them. Silly, dumb presents outside of an occasion. Also silly, dumb presents on said occasion. I mentioned once that I love candles early on in my relationship. I also discussed that I love the outdoors often, camping, hiking, etc. She got me candles that sound like the crackling of a fire and smelled great. She likes being the little spoon but definitely indulges in being the big spoon. This is a huge deal. Ladies, we love being cuddled sometimes. Compliments and non-sexual touching. Although it's getting talked about more, I still think a good majority of women don't realize how compliment-starved the average man is. These don't have to be overtly sexual or lead to anything. A hug from behind, squeeze his forearm, a quick back scratch as you walk by, a kiss, obviously this is for relationships, on the cheek. Tell him you like that color on him, or he looks nice that day. Tell him you like the way he makes you feel. Be specific. All these kinds of things. I promise you we'll replay these moments for a long time. If you compliment and it's genuine, an outfit or color, he'll almost certainly wear it more. These go a long way to make us feel valued and cared for.